Greetings, fellow travelers. It's Wisdom Wednesday. Welcome back to another episode of Journeying Within. Last week, we delved into the multifaceted layers of sight, exploring how physical, mental, emotional, intuitive, and spiritual vision shape our understanding of the world and ourselves. We reflected on how each layer of sight contributes to our perception and the importance of nurturing these layers to achieve clarity and compassion. This week, inspired by a thoughtful response from a dear friend, we turn our attention to the interplay between sight, perspective, and the incomprehensible realm of imagination. A conundrum that challenges and enriches our inner vision. While sight refers to the various ways we perceive the world around us, perspective is the lens through which we interpret those perceptions. It is the angle or viewpoint from which we consider our experiences. Our sight provides the raw data, the images, the scenes, the details. But perspective gives meaning and context. Two people can witness the same event, yet interpret it differently based on their unique perspectives. Imagine standing on the edge of a bustling city street. The sights before you are undeniable. The blur of cars speeding by, neon lights flickering in shop windows, and throngs of people weaving through the chaos. One person might observe this scene with a sense of awe, seeing vibrancy, possibility, and the promise of connection. The sheer energy of the city might inspire thoughts of opportunity and adventure. But another, looking at the very same street, might feel overwhelmed, even disoriented by the noise, chaos, and anonymity of it all. To them, the scene might reflect isolation or a world moving too fast to comprehend. The same street, the same moment, yet two completely different experiences. What creates this disparity? It is perspective, the sum of our total experiences, emotions, and beliefs. Let us heighten the imagery. Picture a young artist in the crowd. They are inspired, their mind buzzing with ideas as they sketch mental images of every passerby. To them, the street is a stage, each face telling a story worth exploring. Now picture an overworked commuter. They are weaving through the crowd head down, shoulders tense, drowning in thoughts of overdue bills and tight deadlines. The same street becomes a battleground of noise and distraction that they must endure to get home. What do these two have in common? They both saw the same street, yet their perspectives painted entirely different worlds. Our perspective, though deeply personal, is rarely formed in isolation. It is a tapestry woven from the threads of our experiences, emotions, beliefs, and surroundings. Have you ever paused to wonder why you see the world the way you do? What shaped your lens? For some, it is the weight of past trauma. For others, it is the joy of a nurturing upbringing. Perspective shapes everything, much like a walk on Portsdown Hill. Like the tracks we choose to follow there, our perspective guides how we navigate life's fields, be they filled with wild flowers or scratchy thorns. Every step presents a choice. Do we focus on the beauty and opportunity, or do we let discomfort and difficulty dominate our vision? This choice reflects the interplay of sight, perspective, and imagination. The very same hill can be a haven of wonder or a wearying trek, depending on how we choose to see it. Our culture, our education, our relationships all act as mirrors, reflecting back a world that is as much about what we bring to it as it is about what we see. Take a moment to reflect. If you were on that street, how would you see it? What does that say about your perspective today? What has shaped your perspective? Was it a parent's voice? A painful loss? A life-changing book? Or even the society you were born into? And more importantly, does your perspective align with the person you are becoming? And as we ponder our own perspective, let us remember this. When someone else's perspective feels extreme or even incomprehensible, it is not an opportunity to dismiss or ridicule them. Their lens is shaped by experiences we may never fully understand. This doesn't mean we have to agree, but it does remind us to approach with empathy and curiosity instead of judgment. Our perspectives differ, but they are all pieces of the greater mosaic of human experience. The challenge is not to convince others to see the world as we do, but to honor the diversity of vision and seek common ground where possible. How does your perspective influence the way you interpret what you see? In our last segment, we explored how sight provides the raw data and perspective gives it meaning. But there's another element to this equation: imagination. Imagination is the creative bridge between sight and perspective. It allows us to reinterpret what we see and envision possibilities beyond our immediate reality. Imagination is the faculty of forming new ideas, images, or concepts not present to the senses. It is not bound by the limits of physical sight, or even the boundaries of perspective. Instead, it offers us a canvas to explore the symbolic, the abstract, and the infinite. Without imagination, the world would remain static, a collection of facts with no room for dreams or transformation. Yet, like perspective, imagination is shaped by the thoughts, visuals, and actions we entertain. It can soar toward the sacred, envisioning beauty, meaning, and connection, or it can descend into the profane, consumed by fear, anger, or destruction. The direction our imagination takes is deeply tied to our moral polarity and integrity. Pause and ask yourself, What feeds your imagination? What stories, images, or emotions are you inviting in? Are they expanding your vision or constricting it? Are they aligned with the person you strive to be? Imagination is a tool of immense power. Through it, we create art, solve problems, and innovate. But it also holds the capacity to distort reality if unchecked. For example, imaginative empathy can help us step into someone else's shoes, fostering compassion and understanding. Conversely, unchecked fears or prejudices can give rise to destructive fantasies that lead to misunderstanding or harm. It is our responsibility to steward this gift with intention, to align it with truth, integrity, and values that uplift both ourselves and those around us. As with perspective, imagination is a reflection of the inner world we cultivate. So, who is the architect of your imagination? Are you consciously shaping it, or is it being shaped by external influences? The media you consume, the voices around you. Imagination invites us to co-create with the world, but it begins with a decision. What kind of world are we building within? Our perspective is the lens that colors how we see the world, but it is imagination that lets us alter the lens entirely. Perspective may show us the world as it is, but imagination dares to ask, what could it be? Together, they shape not just our vision, but our capacity to grow, dream, and create meaning. Our imagination is shaped by the thoughts we entertain and the actions we take. It can elevate us, become a vessel for sacred inspiration, or it can lead us astray, dwelling on the profane. The direction our imagination takes depends on our moral compass and integrity. How we nurture and guide it determines whether it becomes a tool for creation or destruction. Imagination, while a powerful tool, presents a paradox. On one hand, it opens the door to endless possibilities, and on the other, it can pull us away from reality. The conundrum lies in finding balance. How do we embrace imagination's potential without losing our footing in the here and now? An overactive imagination can spiral into escapism or anxiety, especially when consumed by what-ifs. It can paint elaborate scenarios that have no basis in reality, trapping us in fear or unrealistic expectations. Have you ever found yourself worrying about something that never came to pass? That is imagination disconnected from truth. On the flip side, a stifled imagination can lead to rigidity, an inability to dream, adapt, or think outside the box. Without imagination, we struggle to reframe challenges, missing opportunities for growth and creativity. It is like seeing the world through a fogged lens, unable to envision what lies beyond. The key is not to suppress imagination, but to harness it intentionally. Grounding imagination in reality requires mindfulness, a conscious awareness of when we are using it to expand possibilities versus when it's distorting our perception. It is about becoming the master of our imaginative faculty, not its captive. Ask yourself, when you imagine, are you building castles in the air, or are you laying foundations for something real and meaningful? Imagination, as we have seen, is a double-edged sword. It can be a channel for sacred inspiration, helping us envision beauty, healing, and solutions, or it can descend into the profane, amplifying fears, desires, or destructive thoughts. The path imagination takes is deeply influenced by our moral compass and integrity. By aligning our imagination with values that uplift and connect, we transform it into a tool for creation rather than chaos. In what way does your imagination enhance or complicate your perception of reality? When sight, perspective, and imagination work in harmony, they create a synergy that enriches our experience of the world. Physical sight gives us the raw material. Perspective interprets it, and imagination stretches its boundaries. Together they form a holistic vision, a way of seeing that is grounded yet expansive, practical yet inspired. Imagination allows us to envision our highest potential. By imagining the person we want to become, we create a roadmap for growth. Perspective helps us break that vision into actionable steps, while sight keeps us grounded in the present moment, ensuring our aspirations remain achievable. Imaginative empathy is the ability to see the world through another's eyes. When we combine perspective with imagination, we can understand not just someone's actions, but the feelings and experiences behind them. This deepens connection and fosters compassion. Imagination fuels creative solutions to challenges, while perspective ensures these solutions are realistic and grounded in context. Sight keeps us alert to details that might otherwise go unnoticed, helping us to navigate obstacles effectively. To integrate sight, perspective, and imagination, we must start with reflection. How does your perspective shape the way you interpret what you see? In what ways does your imagination enhance or complicate your perception of reality? How can you nurture a balanced relationship between sight, perspective, and imagination to create a more enriched and empowered life in your daily experiences? As we journey within, let us remember that sight, perspective, and imagination are not isolated faculties, but interconnected threads in the tapestry of how we experience life. When we consciously cultivate and align them, we unlock a vision that is not only clearer, but also more compassionate, innovative, and transformative. Take a moment to pause. Are you using these gifts to their fullest potential? The answer lies in how you choose to see, not just with your eyes, but with your mind, heart, and spirit. As we conclude this week's exploration of sight, perspective, and imagination, let us carry forward the understanding that these faculties, when nurtured and aligned, have the power to transform not only how we see the world, but how we engage with it. If your life were a walk through Portsdown Hill, how would you see it? What would your perspective reveal? Bushes and brambles, or vistas and possibilities? Remember, your inner vision is as important as your outer one. How you perceive and imagine shapes the life you live. Next week, we will dive deeper into the mental and emotional aspects of sight, exploring how our thoughts and feelings influence not only what we see, but also what we believe. Together, we will uncover how to cultivate clarity and resilience in the face of life's complexities. Until then, I encourage you to reflect on this week's questions, nurture your perspective, and guide your imagination with intention. Thank you for journeying within with me today. See you next Wisdom Wednesday.